He came home from work expecting peace. Instead, he found a luxury SUV parked in his private garage, as if it belonged there. No note, no explanation, just entitlement written across the shiny hood. At first, he thought it was a mistake, but the truth hit harder. This wasn't an accident, it was arrogance. She assumed she had the right to use his property, just because she could. What she didn't know, this time, her privilege had limits. Because he had one advantage she didn't expect, the power to lock her car inside. What happened next would shock the entire neighborhood. Marcus Johnson was no stranger to hard work. He had grown up hearing the constant hum of his mother's sewing machine and watching his father put in long hours as a mechanic. Sacrifice had shaped his family story, and by the time Marcus purchased his first home in a suburban neighborhood, it was more than a milestone. It was a symbol of everything they had fought for. The house wasn't extravagant, but it was his. A quiet cul-de-sac, manicured lawns, and a garage he'd always dreamed of. A safe place for his tools, his car, and the projects that gave him peace of mind after long days at the hospital, where he worked as a nurse. But not everyone in the neighborhood welcomed him. Subtle comments, stares that lingered too long, and whispered HOA meetings painted a picture Marcus knew all too well. He was the only black homeowner on the block, and that fact alone seemed to bother some people more than his success impressed them. Still, Marcus kept his head high, determined to enjoy the home he earned, until one Friday evening when he pulled into his driveway, only to find his garage door slightly ajar. A strange unease ran through him. Inside, instead of his car, sat a sleek white SUV. License plates he didn't recognize, belonging to someone who had no business there. That someone was about to make the mistake of underestimating him. Marcus stared at the SUV in disbelief. His first instinct was to check if maybe a delivery truck had left something behind, or if there had been a mix-up. But the truth was right in front of him. The car was parked comfortably inside, as if his garage had become community property. Minutes later, a knock echoed on his door. When Marcus opened it, there stood a woman he had seen around the neighborhood, a board member of the HOA, known for her sharp tongue and sharper opinions. With a forced smile, she explained casually, "Oh, I hope you don't mind. We had some work done on our driveway today, and I needed somewhere safe to leave my car. Yours was the closest. Safe, closest, convenient. Not hers." Marcus's jaw tightened. She didn't ask permission. She didn't even consider it necessary. To her, it was just space. Space she felt entitled to, because Marcus's ownership didn't register as equal in her eyes. He wanted to demand she move it immediately, but something stopped him. The sheer confidence she carried made it clear she believed there would be no consequences. After all, what would a single black man do against the weight of the HOA? Marcus played it cool. He simply nodded, and she left, no sign of guilt on her face. But as he closed the door, his mind raced. This wasn't just about a car. It was about respect, boundaries, and a long history of being told, "You don't belong." That night, Marcus devised a plan. His garage door opener had a setting few neighbors knew about. With one button, he could lock the mechanism from inside, sealing the car in until he decided otherwise. The next morning, as sunlight poured into the cul-de-sac, neighbors noticed the SUV still trapped inside Marcus's garage. Whispers spread like wildfire. The HOA board member, now visibly flustered, stormed to Marcus's door, demanding access. But Marcus, calm and collected, reminded her of one thing. Her car was on his property without his permission. The balance of power had shifted, and for once, the entitlement that had ruled the block was no longer in her hands. By the third day, the neighborhood was buzzing. Cars slowed as they passed Marcus's house, curious eyes peeking at the locked garage that had become ground zero for a showdown no one expected. The woman, neighbors now mockingly referred to her as Karen, had grown desperate. She pounded on Marcus's door, her voice sharp and commanding. She threatened legal action, HOA fines, even called the police. But every time, Marcus stood firm. He explained calmly. Her vehicle was trespassing on private property, and he had every right to secure his own garage. When officers finally arrived, Karen expected them to side with her. But the law was clear. Marcus had not broken any rule. It was her who had violated property rights. The officers, reluctant but firm, told her the matter was civil, not criminal. Her car would stay where it was until she worked it out with Marcus. For once, the shield of authority she often leaned on had cracks. The crowd of neighbors, once silent bystanders, now saw the truth unfold. Some shook their heads in disbelief. Others whispered their support for Marcus. And then came the breaking point. Standing on his porch, Marcus addressed Karen directly, his voice steady but filled with years of unspoken frustration. He told her this wasn't just about a garage. It was about a pattern of disregard, of assuming his presence and his property were somehow less valuable. Karen froze, her usual confidence shattered under the weight of public accountability. The very stage she thought she controlled had turned against her. And in that moment, the story of one man locking a car in his garage became something bigger, an undeniable reminder that entitlement has limits and respect is not optional. Eventually, Karen retrieved her car, but not without consequence. Marcus required her to sign an agreement acknowledging her trespass and committing never to misuse his property again. What stung more than the paper, though, was the humiliation. The neighborhood had witnessed her downfall, and the whispers that once targeted Marcus now circled her. For Marcus, it wasn't just a victory, it was validation. For years, he had carried the quiet weight of being scrutinized, questioned, and underestimated. But this moment shifted the narrative. He hadn't just defended his garage, he had defended his dignity. The story spread beyond the cul-de-sac. Friends, co-workers, even strangers who heard about it praised Marcus for standing firm. Yet beneath the applause was a sobering truth. It should never have come to this. No homeowner should have to fight this hard to be respected. No person should have to prove, again and again, that their rights mattered just as much as anyone else's. This incident wasn't just a neighborhood spat. It was a reflection of something larger. How many times does entitlement disguise itself as convenience? How often does privilege silence respect? And how many more people, like Marcus, are forced to draw the line simply to be seen as equals? As Marcus looked at his garage, now empty once again, he felt a mix of relief and resolve. This wasn't just about reclaiming space. It was about reclaiming voice. And maybe the real question is, if one man locking a garage door could spark this much reflection, what could happen if we all stood up when respect was denied? So if you believe stories like this matter, share this, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more. Because silence only protects the entitled. But voices, our voices, can change the story.